We're going to go ahead and start it. All right, everybody, welcome to episode 10 of Monday Night Rare, my weekly live podcast where I interview another great growing streamer. And tonight, my guest is Sneakerhead, Destiny Trials Streamer. And we're going to be doing the usual. We're going to be playing some Iron Banner tonight, and then we're going to swap over to run a Trials card afterwards, and hopefully we continue the old streakerino of the Monday Night Rare Trials cards. Anyway, when we go ahead and introduce you all to Sneakerhead. How's it going, man? How you doing today, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm really glad that you allowed me to be on this episode. So I'm looking forward to running to the Lighthouse with you and continuing your Titan streak. And it's nice to see you over on PS4.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Yeah, like I say, some people always ask, some people ask me, what's your favorite console? And I honestly don't have a favorite console. I love playing Destiny on both. So to me, I use the same control setup for each one. So it really doesn't feel any different to me. I mean, you can get so a couple different weapons on the PS4, but they're really not all that fantastic. They're not game breaking in any way. So, it's, for me, it really, PS4, Xbox doesn't really mean a whole lot. So, what about you? Are you primarily just PS4?
Yes, I'm only on PS4.
Only on the PS4.
I thought about getting an Xbox because I have a bunch of friends that play, but I used to always play Xbox 360, but then when they came out with PS4, I was like, I'm going to give it a shot, and I've loved it ever since. So I've just primarily been sticking to PS4 now.
Okay. All right, man. Well, where did it all begin for you? What got you? What was your first gaming experience? Where did it all begin, man?
Honestly, streaming-wise, it all started with Destiny. I didn't really know much about streaming or anything, and so I was actually at work, and a buddy of mine, my brother, he actually told me that to check out this website called Twitch. You can watch people play video games, and I was like, no way. He was like, yeah, dude, go check it out. So I went and checked it out, and at the time, that was right when Destiny first came out, right around the beta time, and then the game launched, and that's when I really started looking at Twitch a lot because I was interested in Destiny. And so I pulled it up, and the first streamer that I actually saw was KJ Hovey. And so I dropped into KJ Hovey's chat for the longest time and never really talked. And then finally one day I was like, yo, what's up, KJ? And he actually responded to me. And there's 2 people AFK and like 3 people AFK in the spawn, by the way. He told me that well, he was just saying that he's new to Destiny as well, and so we just started talking a bunch, and I was like, this guy's really good, and I want to try to be like this guy and start streaming. So that's honestly what started me streaming was KJ Hovey, and so from there it's just been, it's been growth and slowly growing and excited to see. Because at first, I was stuck on that 1 to 2 viewer period for the longest time.
Oh, sure.
And because I wasn't really networking with anyone, I was just, hitting the stream button from the PlayStation on the share button. And because I was a nobody at the time, I was just like, yeah, maybe this isn't for me. So I had like a talk with my wife. I was like, maybe I want to try to grow in this and see if this can actually turn into something. And so I actually recently just really started streaming about 2 months ago, and now it's really picking up and I'm slowly growing. So that's where it all started, honestly.
Right on, man. Yeah, that's definitely important to me. If you are looking to really take this seriously and you get your significant other behind you, it definitely can make the difference. Because I tell you what, if you don't have that support of the family, it just basically kills your stream right there, because it's just going to cause more stress than it's really worth to start streaming. So it's good that from the sounds of it, your wife does support your decision to take this serious and try to build something out of it.
Yes, so, exactly.
Right on. All right, so going back before Destiny, what was your actual, where did you start gaming? What got you into gaming as a hobby?
Well, growing up, I was raised by my grandmother, and funny story is my grandmother played video games, and so that's where it all started. I used to play like Zelda on the Nintendo 64, and Mario and all that. So that's where it started. But I wasn't super big into video games at the time. And I guess right around PlayStation 3 came out is when I got big into it, and I only played Call of Duty. That was like the go-to game that got me wanting to play video games. And so once the Call of Duty started coming out, I was like, hey, I really like the way first-person shooters play out. And so I would say Call of Duty is really what brought me into playing video games.
Right on, man. Yeah, that was definitely, I think that brought a lot of people into the first-person shooter genre. Of course, Halo, for a lot of people, certainly definitely helped just for the ease of access to that game, since it was, the first really major console shooter, and it really revolutionized how the first-person shooter genre is played. I personally started playing first-person shooters on the PC, and so it's a completely different experience, and that's why I currently use mouse and keyboard. I use the M4 for my experience. So, have you had any experience with the mouse and keyboard setup at all?
Never, but I'm actually good friends with Dr. Lupo, and watching him, that's where I primarily see it the most. I don't really know too many people who use it. I guess I could say you're like the third person I know that uses it.
Yeah, because I know probably over 9,000 is using it now. Because again, I think he came from more of a mouse and keyboard background as well. I think you find, like, especially a little bit older generation, the mouse and keyboard is going to be the preferred input method, just because that's how it used to be played, and it's definitely a different setup. I think as far as aiming, the sensitivity is a little bit easier, but there are definitely some things that that make using a controller also quite a bit easier. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. So why don't we talk about what got you into trial streaming? I mean, was it what point did you decide that you're going to go with trial streaming as your focus?
So when Destiny came out, I had never played PvP. I was always that PvE guy that would help people with raids, just friends. I started a clan, and it grew pretty big. It was right around to probably about 120 active members for a while. Mm-hmm. And we were all PvE players. Nobody was really PvE. And so I got into PvP, and I was really bad at it. I didn't like the way it played, because I felt like it was a lot slower than playing Call of Duty, because Call of Duty was a lot faster paced for me, and it slowed me down. So I was like, this is a no-go for me. And so at the time I had like a 0.25 KD. I didn't really care. And so then going into season 1 of Trials, year 1 of Trials, I was terrible. So then I decided, like, hey, I'm gonna take time, learn how to play PvP.
Sure.
And get really good at it. So I just set aside a bunch of time playing Trials with some friends, and what they would do for me was they would just sit in the spawn, and I would practice in 1v3 situations to get better. And so then eventually I got my KD up to like a 2.2, and then I really was like, man, I'm going to try to stream this, because I feel like I have the potential. And so now it's fun being able to help other players who can't get falls go to the lighthouse for the first time and have that experience.
Right on. So when did you actually take your first? When did you attempt your first card with a? I mean, aside from just playing with your buddies, but actually trying to take somebody to the lighthouse.
I actually attempted my first lighthouse carry on my very first stream, and it was the very first lighthouse carry, and it was just a great feeling. I was like, this is gonna be awesome. I probably had like two viewers at the time, but it was just something to like think about. Like, the excitement from him is what like just motivated me to keep doing more carries. And from there, I met a bunch of cool players. For example, I met Genie Maboon. Playing him with a friend of mine, DT Huna, we carried one of some I can't remember who it exactly was, but we carried a good friend of mine. We beat G, and then G came to my stream and was like, yo, good game. And then I was like, hey, if you ever want to play. And now G actually helps me with carries. And so just networking off of that was pretty cool. And
nice.
I mean, I've had experiences with streamers playing Hovey, playing Real Crafty, and all of them. So
sure.
It's been a ride, and I've really enjoyed it.
Right on, man. Guys in chat, we are chatting with Sneakerhead, Trials Destiny streamer. You can find him over at twitch.tv/SneakerheadBSJ. So check him out, hit him with a follow. Also, there is a multi-link where you can watch us from both angles as we play just some Iron Banner and kind of mess around. We will be switching over to Trials following the interview. So, man, I'm not gonna get that top score. You get that top KD though, yo. Anyway, so tell us about that very first card. Or let me tell. How about this? How about your very first time, your trip to the lighthouse? What was that like for you? Actually, let's back it up even further. Your very first Trials card. What was that? What was that like for you?
So playing the very first Trials card, I was really pumped about Trials because it reminded me of Search and Destroy, and that's all I played. It was like, hey, you gotta stay alive, eliminate the team.
Sure.
So my very first card was a blast. I was really bad, so I didn't even make it to the lighthouse the first week. So, but just the experience and being able to play that Search and Destroy style is what was like, hey, I really got to get into this. I got to play every single weekend, and then I was just really excited about it. So I just met players, found teams. I started off on LFG and playing with my brother, and then from there we just met. That's when we started the clan. Actually, was when Trials came out. We started the clan. And we met some amazing people who've been on the ride with us since.
Okay. What about that very first? Okay, so you're 8-0, going into that match to go to the lighthouse for the very first time. What was going through your head, man?
Going through my head, I was like, this is probably going to be a super sweaty game. We have this. So we spawn in, and the team kills herself. I'm like, really?
Wow.
So it wasn't even a rewarding game because I guess they were playing for passage coins. So as soon as they spawn in, they're like killing themselves. I was like, wow.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Anticlimactic. Because I remember my very first Trials card the first time I went to the lighthouse was with JBD, which is consequently one of the reasons I stream now. But I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's an Xbox trial streamer. He doesn't do it as much anymore, but he used to in year one a lot. Any rate, we just demolished everybody that we played. I mean, it wasn't even close. We got through the card super fast. So it was one of those matches where I was playing with these two guys and they were so used to playing Trials. This was fourth or fifth weekend. I can't remember. Anyway, we just rolled through everybody so hard that they would have the other team dead before I even got to see them. So I was basically just trying to play catch up. Before that, I had played a little bit with my friends, and we got to 8-1 or 8-0, but we never quite couldn't quite get over the hump. But all right, so fast forward a little bit to that first Trials card with a carry, the first people that you're trying to get to the lighthouse. What was that particular card like? I mean, and how are you feeling like when you finally first took somebody to the lighthouse?
Well, honestly, that first card, I was just in it. I was in the zone. I was like, I really want to get this guy to the lighthouse. He's never been. So I just took my time and I played really campy, just trying to get a pick. And then once I got a pick, I was like, we got to push the body. Just make sure you push. Make sure if someone goes down, just grab that res. Just focus. Like I told him, I was like, just play you. Don't worry about being nervous because you're not that great at it. Just play your play style and feel comfortable with the way that you play. And I'll try to play my play style off of yours. And it actually worked because he said that he just liked to rush. And I'm a very passive player, but I push when the time's necessary. So I was like, if you want to rush and if you feel comfortable, I'll back you up. And so I changed my playstyle to a rush style for that card, and it actually paid off. Nice.
Very cool. Very cool. So by the way, guys, once again, I am talking to Sneakerhead and Destiny Trial Streamer on the PS4. Make sure you check him out. Hit that multi-link. Hit him up with a follow if you haven't done so already. This guy's not taking damage. Okay, that's why. He's lagging. That makes sense now. Anyway, make sure you hit him up. And so if you're looking, try to get to the lighthouse, especially if you haven't been, give him a shot. maybe he can help you get there, man. I have every confidence. Everything I've heard has been very positive, and I have no doubts that he can get you there. So let's talk a little bit about streaming, man. Like, okay, so KJ Hobie you say was a big influence in getting you into streaming. So how has it been for you since? I mean, again, what was the actual date that you first started streaming? Do you remember that day?
I don't remember the exact day, but it was back in September when Taken King, right around when Taken King came out.
Sure.
So, well, I'm going to take that back because season 1 of Trials, I didn't really get into streaming when Trials first came out. So, yeah, I would say it was around Taken King when I first started seriously trying to stream. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that was definitely a difficult time to try streaming because everybody was streaming Destiny at that point. I mean, even
exactly.
like for me back then, of course, I was still, I mean, beginning of September, I'd only been doing it for less than 2 months. And so, yeah, I was getting that 5, 6, 7, 8, viewers at a time. School had just started, so we lost a lot of this school kids that were coming in all the time. And so, yeah, it was a tough time to be a newer streamer in the directory, because it was so inundated and so, just there's so many different streamers and good streamers too. I mean, deservedly so, they were doing it. So tell me about some of the early, like, there had to have been some doubts at the beginning. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but like, what has it been like for you mentally, the growth, seeing the growth that you've had and, just because everybody always kind of questions, what they're doing. What has it been like for you?
Well, like I said at first, it was really tough because I didn't think I was going to make, I was like, man, I'm only going to have one view and that's probably just going to be myself. So I started really connecting with people. I made a Twitter, and honestly, Twitter kind of really blew up for me and helped a lot. And then I met really good players. I connected with,
wow.
I don't know if you know her. Her name's Autumn. She makes YouTube videos. Her name's Autumnlicious on PS4. And then I started going into Guardian Outpost stream. I saw him, and I started using to support small streamers, and I just saw a little growth from that. And I was like, man, this might not work because it was still staying at a pretty low view count, and I was taking so much time out of my day to do it, and I was like, it just may not be worth it in the end. So it was a doubt for a while, and then I guess really what kicked it off was I was like, I'm gonna give one more last shot. And so I ended up hosting a charity stream for Down syndrome, and I called it was Trials for Down syndrome. It was actually a really, really big event.
Sure.
Really great outcome. So I just was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. And so most really big streamers have their emails in their, Twitter bio. And so I contacted a bunch of them, and I was like, hey, I wanted to host a charity stream and wanted to see if you'd be interested for playing for an hour. And so I did a 24-hour stream, and every hour a new streamer came in. And literally I got so many positive responses from it, and they were like, we don't know who you are, but you're really awesome for doing this, and we'd love to be a part of it. So I had a bunch of big names come play. I had Ovi play, I had Chad Lannis play. I had True Vanguard, I had, who else was it? There was a bunch of people. But anyways, that really helped a lot, and people were so positive and supporting me behind it. And ever since then, I kind of just have grown in the community and been able to keep my view count at a satisfaction to where I'm comfortable with continuing what I'm doing. And I mean, I just remember the first time I ever got a huge raid, it was from Hobie, and that just was I was so thankful. I flipped out on stream. I was jumping up and down. I was like, this is a joke. And then I got my second one from and I've become really good friends with Rainbow. He's on Xbox, but he's switched over to PS4. And so positivity was always, an upbringing for me. And so now I feel just super blessed to be a part of the community and meet such great friends from playing this game.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. I think there's a couple things that I want to kind of highlight that you talked about. Number one, you mentioned your Twitter account. It is. I mean, this is something that I don't really talk a whole lot about, but social networking is so important when it comes to a growing stream. You need to have a Twitter account. If you have nothing else, you need to have a Twitter account. It is so important to growth, because that's how a lot of people find you. It's a good way to network with other, streamers and other, content creators and whatnot. So yeah, definitely having a Twitter is going to help you out. If so for those small streamers that are listening, that's definitely something you want to look at. But the other thing, what you talk about, of course, with the networking and just the, you put together that the charity event, and it drew attention, and of course with charity events, you really want to focus on the charity, but you always get that added benefit of networking with other streamers. And that's, of course, what's going to happen this weekend for me. If you're watching this live, there's going to be the stackup.org, event that we're going to be doing here with the network, and then really anybody wants to join. Wow, it's definitely all about raising money for stackup.org. But an added benefit will be to your ability to actually network with other streamers and get to know them, and hopefully be able to do things in the future. You'll be able to intermingle your communities. So that is just kind of an added benefit to that. As long as you are focused on the charity and not focused on promoting your own channel. So that's definitely a big thing. But I mean, you're right. Like for me, I've been very fortunate to have drawn the attention of a number of large streamers in our directory, and it seems that you've kind of come a similar path in that once you draw that attention and they're supporting you, again, their community is going to support you as well, and it can definitely add to your growth. So it's always really important to that networking is really important, but again, doing it in the right way is certainly very important as well, because some people, they tend to get a little pushy. Have you ever kind of run into that where you're getting a little success, you got some good numbers, and then some people, you feel like maybe they're kind of trying to come in and ride on your coattails a little bit?
Yeah, but that okay. I didn't mean to make it sound like.
Oh no! I'm just no. I'm not saying that you're trying to ride on anybody's coattails. What I'm saying, I'm going kind of beyond that. Once you start to gain success, like after my very first goth raid back in November. Man, people came out of the woodwork. It was crazy. Have you ever really experienced that, where people just kind of like, try to nuzzle up and to you and be like, "Hey, buddy," like people you'd never heard of before?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yes, I actually have had some like really small, like where I was in the beginning, streamers like, "Hey, you want to do trials carries? I'm good at PvP. Like, you want to do trials carries?" I'm like, I've never really I'm down to play a card, and then they hit you with that all the time. Hey, let's play now, because I'm helping them. So yeah, I kind of understand that dragging on the coattail part. That it's happened to me a couple of times, but not too much. So, I would say it's probably happened to you a lot more than it has to me.
Well, one thing I tell people all the time when it comes to networking, and one of the biggest pieces of advice I've given, and I've talked at length with Evil Aura about this in the past, is one of the biggest lessons that I learned through streaming, or from researching topics on streaming, is promote others more than they promote you. And it really comes back tenfold. Especially, one thing is that you go and you promote somebody. Okay, so if I were to go into Goth's chat and be like, "I'm promoting Goth, I'm expecting something back from him," you can't look at it this way. If you go to somebody, and actually I watched probably over 9,000 did his first podcast the other day, last week, and I watched it, and he said something that I thought was brilliant. He said, "Fight within your own weight class." Okay, meaning that when you're looking to network, is with other streamers, look at other streamers that are a similar concurrent viewership as you are. Whether it be slightly below or maybe slightly ahead of yourself, because when you're networking, it should be mutually beneficial. It shouldn't be one way, because if I were to go in looking, saying I'm promoting Goth, well, no, everybody knows who Goth is. Everybody's in my channel knows who Goth is, and has probably watched Goth and probably a lot of subscribers to Goth, I'm not really helping him all that much. Okay, basically, you're trying to get him to help you, or Broman, or any of these guys. But if you go in and you start, promoting people that are around your size and helping them grow, they're going to turn around and they're going to, try to, usually they'll come in and help you do the same thing. So, I mean, that's kind of a little piece of advice for the growing streamers. That's one of the other things I like to do with Monday Night Rare is try to help other growing streamers, learn the art of streaming, because it is an art. It
is.
And we've both been streaming for a similar amount of time, so I'm sure that we've both experienced a lot of very similar things. But once again, everybody, I am talking to Sneakerhead Destiny Trials Streamer on the PS4. If you have any questions, make sure you highlight you at me at. I'm not even trying at this point. Make sure you message them with an at me at it, or an at Angry Iceberg, so that I see them, or mods can also indicate those questions. So if you have any questions in chat for myself or for Sneakerhead, definitely feel free to ask them, and we'll see if we can't get those answered. All right, so let's kind of switch back a little bit to Destiny and playing PvP and specifically Trials. Okay, there's a good one right off the bat. Evil Aura wants to know, what is your ideal class to run, and what is your favorite loadout for Trials?
Okay, so before the nerf, I made a Stormcaller. I just liked the way it played. I was able to landfall, and just I could blink out of situations. I'm a sniper, so I like to. Well, for my primary, I would say before the patch, Doctrine was my favorite primary. It was just a quick drain gun. Mm-hmm. So now I'm probably running Mido a lot, and I feel like Last Word's at a perfect balance, so I'm running a lot of Last Word as well. Sniper, I prefer the longbow now. I still haven't got a good roll, but the roll that I have now, I guess I'm okay with it. And then for heavy, I don't use a rocket launcher. I use a machine gun. So there's that.
So what's your thought process with using a machine gun with heavy, which seems to be a very quick round anyway, and so you only have 3 people to kill. What's your thought process for using a heavy machine gun for that?
Well, I prefer heavy machine gun because I like to pull players. I like to bait them with it. Okay. So they'll run around a corner, and while they're jumping, trying to rocket me, I feel like I have enough time to drain them before they can hit me with a rocket. Okay. And I actually just recently, I would say I got a God Roll Zombie Apocalypse that has incredible range, so now I'm able to pick them off from a lot farther away before they can even see me, which is nice.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That's one thing. I actually just got 2 Zombie Apocalypse, and one was really good. I can't remember the exact rolls. It's been a while since I looked. And then the other one, I don't think was as good, but yeah, that Zombie Apocalypse is definitely a good machine gun. But yeah, I don't have the I don't have the experience to be able to kind of do something like that with a machine gun. Basically, I mean, I have barely enough experience to actually kill somebody with a rocket launcher. It's usually a kind of a wash round for me. But and then and forgive me, what class do you usually run? You might answer this and I might have missed it, but what class do you like to run?
Well, now I prefer to run I would say a Striker Titan.
Striker Titan, okay. And what's your gear loadout?
For a Striker, I run Armatarium for double lightning grenades. Okay. And then I try to get as many sniper ammo perks as I can. So, and I like to run a 4-4 or 5-5 build for intellect and discipline. I don't really care so much for the strength because because I play so passive, I'm never close enough to melee. Yeah,
I'm kind of the same way, and I mean, not that I really compare skill-wise at all. Whoa, that's a rocket in my face. But yeah, if you look at my guy right now, I've got both 5-tier intellect and discipline. I have almost no strength. So again, I very rarely. Oh my god, I really spawn into a shot right to the face. That's fun. Anyway, so what about what's your longest win streak in Trials?
Longest win streak is, I believe it's 79.
Okay. Very cool. Was that
It's in the
trial?
70s.
Okay, was that with while you're doing trials carries, or was that just with friends?
That was actually with friends. I would say my longest streak while doing carries is around like 52 of me
Wow,
and G, and then doing carries.
Cool. All right, so what do you think is probably the biggest thing that makes it difficult for you, aside from just being new? What are some of the biggest mistakes that players that you play with make playing trials, and that causes the most problems?
I would say
God damn.
not having map awareness. If you don't have map awareness, you can just end your card really quickly. Just knowing the maps, I feel like, is what helps me the most. Knowing what spots people primarily run. I mean, before I play trials, I'll look at a heat map for the week for every map has a heat map that Bungie's released. So I'll look at a heat map to see what spots are the hot spots, and I'll try to stay away from those areas because I know players are going to be there, and that's
Sure.
where I'm able to primarily get my picks from.
Yeah, say something. Okay, I'm sorry. Interrupt. Go ahead.
No.
Continue.
Okay. I would say another thing is players that, I don't know really how to put this, but like a lot of players try to group up too much and team shot from far away. And if you're above average sniper, you're gonna get a pick before they're gonna be able to team shot you. I feel so. That's another mistake I see players making. I mean, yes, team shots are nice, but above average players are going to be able to pick you off if you're not an average player, I would say. So that's another mistake. But I would say the number one thing is map awareness. You have to have map awareness and knowing where players are going to go and just knowing every spot on the map pretty much.
Yeah. So, but what I found interesting when you're talking about researching the heat maps, I think that's one thing that I don't know how many people actually do the research and or go in that well aware, and that's one thing that I've always said. One of the best things is to actually map awareness. Now, I'm not the best player. I do okay, with I can aim all right, but if I know a map, that's I'm gonna have the advantage, and I know completely what you're talking about. I used to play America's Army back in the day on the PC, and I used to play one map and one map only, just because I knew it so well. And you'd think it'd get boring, but it really didn't. It was so much fun, just knowing every little angle and knowing where to shoot your shots, from your 203 rounds and whatnot to get the kills. And if you know where somebody is, and just know where they're coming from, where they're going, and stuff like that. All right, so what would you consider what has been your favorite trials map?
Favorite trials map is Frontier.
Frontier. So the one we're on right now, you really like this one. What makes this one really stand out for you? Oh my God, 0.27. I need to pay more attention. Holy buckets.
Yeah, I'm like struggling, running around and paying attention. So I'm trying to focus on the same thing. I like the map because I would say primarily because whenever both of my teammates go down, I have enough room to run away and set up for a 1v3 situation, and it's big. It's not super rushy for my playstyle. So.
Sure. And so, what's been your thoughts on this week's map, Timekeeper?
A lot of people are complaining about it. I was throwing a lot of salt around at the beginning of it, but I'm kind of liking it. Because I figured out a way if you spawn inside where the right places to go so that you don't get picked off. But on this map, there's so many angles, and it makes the games go really fast, but you're also going to run into your really campy teams that spawn outside. They're going to cap or try to camp the cap point. So, yeah. It all depends. I've had my ups and downs with this map so far, but I would say I've had more ups so far. So,
I think,
I think personally, the map is pretty trash. I don't really care for it.
Right. Honestly, I think they made him. I think the cap point is in a really bad spot. I think if it was maybe moved over to, I believe where I think B is when they play control on that map. Or wait, do they play control on that map? Anyway, kind of that center point where you have that mid special. If it was over in that area, it might be a little bit different. Does that make sense? But it just seems like that it's too much of an advantage for that cap point to be where it's at for the one side. But that, anyway, kind of getting off there. But all right, so Desmond,
No, I mean,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I keep cutting you off. I completely agree with you about the cap zone. I mean, it is in a bad spot. I think it would have been a lot of fun to put it on the middle, like in that middle area on the pillar and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a lot of fun. But I just feel like you were saying, that outside team, they have an advantage spawning outside because you can literally sit there, watch all 3 flank spots from that spot right there, and you can just wait till the capture point every single time.
Yeah. Okay, Desmeraldo has a question. How do you feel about the heavy changes they made, and how do you feel about heavy in trials as it is?
I like to rush heavy.
Mm-hmm.
On heavy round, I like to rush and get to a spot where I can try to pick them off really quick. I prefer not to play heavy. I'll wave it if somebody waves. I think it should be taken out of trials. I don't really think it should be implemented in that game mode.
Sure. What about the other changes that were made in the April update? How did you feel that it benefited or detracted from Crucible gameplay?
Well, I think it actually benefited because a lot of people were complaining for 3s that they weren't spawning in with special. I'm glad that we get special back because, I mean, either way you could have exploited special without the update from the Icebreaker, and a lot of people were doing that. I'm not going to lie, I exploited it a couple times. But heavy-wise, I mean, I don't really like to play heavy that much, so heavy didn't affect my gameplay at all.
Sure. Okay. Okay, what about the revive nerfs? Do you think that was warranted? Do you think that adds anything, or what are you feeling about what they did to the revive mechanic?
I think it's gonna make players a lot more campier. So, I mean, I'm not mad about it. I think it's just gonna take more gun skill, and you're gonna have to. And it gives players a chance to push whenever a teammate's down. They can't instantly pick up their teammate as soon as they go down 3 seconds later, you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, because it definitely, the one thing I personally liked about the way it was is it was a much more fast-paced game style. With the right team setup, it definitely added to how you played, what your gear setup was. But now it seems like you don't see as much of the as much like quick revive, stuff like that. You're seeing a lot more variety in the loadouts that people are using. Would you agree with that?
No, I completely agree. With the new whole update as well, I've seen a lot of fusion rifles. A lot of players are using that vacancy god roll from the vendor for future World Cup. So I think I'm a lot, with all the update wise, I'm kind of disappointed in the fusion rifle nerf. I mean, they can hit you from so far away, and I'd rather see a shotgun in my face than a fusion rifle. I'm just like, really? That guy had enough time to charge it up to get a shot off on me? I'm bad.
Well, that's the thing. I think for me, what it comes down to with the fusion rifle is that the range on it now, plus the time to kill, is so small. You know what I mean? The range is high and the time to kill is small. So I mean, and I think that's kind of what bothers me a little bit about it. And I think that was what bothered people about it in the year 1 when they nerfed it originally. Was that it had too much range. It was a shotgun, but with range, like a lot of range, I mean, I feel like I get sniped with that thing, sometimes. So I think that's one of the problems I've had with it, personally. So, I thought that the way it was fine. I didn't think it really needed a change, but I think what happened is that Bungie's like, well, nobody's using this gun, so we need to make it better. Well,
exactly.
I don't know. I think people are going to start using it just because it is so powerful. But that's one thing about balance. What do you think about balance? And do you think that they can really get to a point where the game, the meta is balanced? I mean, me personally, I think that it's about as balanced as it's ever been currently. But what do you feel about it? What do you think that they could do to change to make it better for for Trials, for Crucible in general. How do you feel about that?
You know, I don't really have any complaints with this update besides just fusion rifle wise. I think the game's at a balance point where it should be. The one thing I would wish that Bungie would do is the melee's registration and maybe fix Blade Dancer. I think then the game would be perfectly balanced, because I mean, there's the melee registration is what's messing up Blade Dancer for one. Not only that, but I mean, I was in the game last night and I meleeed a guy 7 times and took no damage, and he got a kill off on me. I don't know if it was just lag from my part or from his part, but it was just not a fun experience. And the whole time just throwing out melees and there's no engagement on that. But I mean, weapon wise, I'm not mad about it, or I wouldn't change anything. I like the way everything's played right now. I mean, thinking about it, I mean, shotguns are perfect for me. Snipers, I feel, are at a good balance. I mean, they claim they lowered the aim assist on some, but I mean, I feel like there are times where I'm like, wow, how did I hit that snipe? There's no way. But yeah. I mean, I think the game's at a good set balance for right now, but there's always going to be people complaining. No one's going to be fully happy with anything, so they're going to change it on a certain amount of complaints, you know what I mean?
Sure. Well, that's just it. I mean, I think the way that they balance things isn't the way it should be. They balance it based on player usage, right? Instead of like what does the actual gun do, and why are people using it? So that's one of my biggest problems with. But again, I really believe that I think the balance is probably about as good. Man, I am just not very good right now. I think the balance is about as best as the best we've seen it since Destiny was released, and I kind of felt that way before the April update as well. So I think it's a good thing. I think that you look at all the different weapon classes. You have something that's viable, in every class. It's not just like in year one it was Last Word or Thorn. That's what you used. There really wasn't anything else. In the very beginning, when Destiny first came out, of course, it was Vex Mythoclast, and then you had Suros Regime was next, and then you started to get into the kind of the hand cannon dominance. Following that, Last Word Thorn, and that's really where it was. And on the PS4, I know, of course, Hawkmoon was in that equation as well. But of course, you can't really say it on the Xbox. They didn't have Hawkmoon, so that's one of the unfortunate things about Xbox is that Xbox never really got to play with Hawkmoon when it was truly a powerful gun. So whatever. All right, so we're getting kind of to the end here, guy. Dewworks did have a question a little bit a while back, but I have a feeling I kind of know this answer, not directly, but how you're going to answer this question. Just kind of a silly question, not really pertaining to Destiny or anything. So what do you prefer, blondes, brunettes, or redheads?
Well, funny story is I'm redhead, so I actually ended up marrying a redhead. My wife is redheaded as well, so I prefer redheads.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to say. Is like he's probably going to answer with whatever his wife's hair is. It would have been my guess. Of course, not knowing what it is. Do you have any kids? Any kids yet? I
don't, but that is the number one question that we get all the time. Is like, hey, when you have kids, like, let's put money on that your child's going to have red hair. I'm like, all right, let's put money, because I don't think it's going to happen.
You don't think he's going to have red hair, or he or she going to have red hair?
Nope, I think it's either going to be brown or blonde. I think that trait is going to cancel out.
Interesting. All right, man. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Let's give you a chance to kind of like talk about how people can find you from your Twitch channel to your schedule. Oh, that's a shotgun right to my face. To your Twitter, all that stuff. And again, guys, if you are watching on YouTube, I'll have all this information in the description, so make sure you check that out. So go ahead. First of all, how do people get into a Trials card with you?
So I do a raffle system. You come in the stream, exclamation raffle, and then one of my mods usually pulls a card or pulls a raffle, and we go from there. So, and then sometimes I've recently started like a loyalty run where if you're always in my stream, I'll pick a random viewer that's always in there, and they get the first dibs on the run for the week.
Sure. Okay. And what times do you stream? What's your schedule?
My schedule is Friday through Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern, late night streamer. So 10 p.m. to whenever I'm like, all right, guys, I'm super tired. I'm gonna bounce. There's no set end schedule, but I always start at 10 p.m. Eastern. Okay.
And that's another thing that I would say to growing streamers is schedule is super important, and being consistent is super important. While it's not absolutely necessary, it is definitely, you know, something that's going to help you grow as a streamer. And what's also, of course, important is patience. Patience. You know, not everybody grows at the same rate, man. You know, so
exactly.
All right, so how do they find you, man? Of course, we know the Twitch channel is twitch.tv/SneakerheadBSJ. What other ways are we gonna find you social media wise?
Social media, you can find me on. You can definitely find me on Twitter. I'm always on Twitter. It's at SneakerheadBSJ. Same thing as Twitch. And I've recently just started making YouTube videos. Not too big into it yet. I'm gonna see how that goes. But also on YouTube, SneakerheadBSJ. I have like 3 or 4 videos, nothing special. But I'm gonna try to start making montages and see how that goes.
Right on, man. Okay, well there you have it, guys. Any final words, Sneakerhead?
No, I'm just really thankful that you're having me on the interview, and I'm looking forward to this trials card.
Right on. I am too, man. I am too. I love trials. I'm just not the best at it. So people always ask me like, hey, can you carry me to the lighthouse? I'm like, nope, not going to happen. Even if I have somebody else that's really good, probably not going to happen. Because they'd be basically carrying too. Well, I hold my own with, as you'll see, I hold my own with, you know, a couple other really good players. I certainly am not there to do a carry. I'm not equipped. I'm not, you know, because I just don't do it enough. I'm, you know, raids, man, I'm your man. I've done plenty of raids, but I think anything, it just kind of comes down to experience. And so anyway, once again, thank you so much for being on, everybody. Make sure you hit up his link. Go over there and hit him up with a follow. Go check him out. Again, starting up every day at 10 p.m. Eastern. Go give him the follow. And yeah, if you're looking for a trials carry on the PS4 or trials help, however you want to call it, escort, as some people like to say, hit them up, and they'll do their best to try to get you to the lighthouse. So once again, everybody, thanks for watching live. Thanks for checking it out on YouTube. Make sure you hit up that, you know, like it, subscribe, share it, do all the things. Make sure you comment. I do appreciate everybody checking it out on YouTube. It is starting to kind of pick up a little bit of steam, even though my YouTube is still pretty small. So I appreciate all your support. So for Sneakerhead, until next time, I'm Angry Iceberg. We'll see you around on Monday Night Rare.